The first thing that comes to mind whenever I hear about magic is, can we use magic if we know how? After some digging, the answer to that is yes. If you're curious, I'll teach you how, but first, you need to understand what magic really is. I began my magical journey with the very first information that sparked my desire to explore this topic. According to my research, magic is often categorized by its source. Broadly speaking, there are three main sources of magical power. Transcendent magic. This type of magic comes from beyond our reality, often from divine or infernal realms. It includes powers bestowed by celestial beings such as angels, gods, or infernal entities like demons. Individuals who utilize transcendent magic are often priests, shamans, or sorcerers. One example is King Solomon, who is known to control elements such as wind and possess knowledge given by God. On the other hand, the Faustian legend of Dr. Faustus, who makes a pact with the demon Mephistopheles, is a classic example. Warlocks or dark sorcerers who make pacts with demonic entities to gain power also fall into this category. Unveil magic. This type of magic is derived from the natural world around us, including the elements, plants, and celestial bodies. One of my videos about the 5 elemental spirits is a good example of this type of magic. I explained how people like alchemists use the elementals to aid them in their work. Check it out if you're curious. I'll put it in the description. Innate magic. This magic comes from within, from the essence and life force of magical beings and mythic creatures. Mythical beings like dragons, fairies, and unicorns possess innate magic. For instance, the phoenix has the innate power of rebirth from its ashes. Figures like demigods or part human, part mythical beings, such as Hercules, born of Zeus and a mortal woman, exemplify innate divine power. I feel like concepts like chakra, mana, or ki could fall into this category. Initially, I thought these categories might be the closest answer to how to use magic in real life. With a possible solution in mind, I began my research on magic. Like anyone who loses their wallet, the first thing I did was trace back its roots. So, let's do some time manipulation magic and go back to where it all started. As you all know, magic has been a part of our culture for a very long time, appearing in mythologies and even in historical accounts of witches, shamans, and sorcerers going back thousands of years. In the earliest days, when the world was young and mysterious, humans sought to understand the forces around them. This shows that even the most ancient people were as curious, if not more so, than today's humans. The rustling of leaves, the twinkling of stars, the thunder's roar. These natural wonders inspired awe and reverence. Ancient shamans were the first to bridge the gap between the seen and the unseen, using rituals and symbols to connect with the spiritual world. They performed rituals to heal, protect, and ensure prosperity, believing that they could influence unseen forces. This shamanic tradition is one of the earliest forms of magical practice. In ancient Egypt, magicians known as Heka wielded spells and incantations, believing that words had the power to influence the gods and the natural world. The Book of the Dead is a testament to their magical practices, containing numerous spells meant to guide the deceased through the afterlife. Similarly, in Mesopotamia, practitioners used incantations and rituals to protect against demons and disease. Texts like the Maklu series document their complex system of magic, which was integral to their understanding of health and protection. These early magicians believed that the mind's power could influence the world. A shaman's healing chant or a sacred dance was more than a performance. It was a demonstration of intention and belief. Their magic was rooted in a deep understanding of nature, combined with a strong element of community trust. Greek and Roman traditions. In ancient Greece, magic was often depicted as a divine or semi-divine practice. Figures like Circe and Medea from Homer's Odyssey and Euripides' Medea were renowned for their sorcery. During the Hellenistic period, the Greek magical papyri, a collection of texts containing spells, hymns, and rituals, emerged as a significant source of magical knowledge. The Romans inherited Greek magical traditions and further developed them. Apuleius, the Golden Ass. Yes, you read that right. Also known as Metamorphoses, is a story about transformative magic. In contrast to Greek magic, Roman law often condemned harmful magical practices, reflecting a complex relationship with the supernatural. As we move into the medieval period, the spread of Christianity led to a demonization of pagan practices. Magic was often associated with heresy and witchcraft, resulting in widespread fear and persecution. Despite this, grimoires, or books of magic spells and rituals, such as the Key of Solomon, blending Christian, Jewish, and pre-Christian traditions. But even with these practices, proving that magic is real and using it is still far from reality. As fascinating as this might be, it all ends up in stories with nothing to prove its existence. Now, here's the problem. If even ancient history, which was supposed to be more open to the supernatural, has little to no clue about actual ways to use magic, is magic really real and can people actually use it? Fortunately, people in the past pondered the same thing and came up with an interesting answer to the question. If you can't have any magical power inside your body to create miracles with your bare hands, why not create them using the forces from the outside? As humanity progressed, so did its quest for magical understanding. The Middle Ages brought forth alchemists who sought the philosopher's stone, a legendary substance believed to turn base metals into gold and grant eternal life. Alchemy, now considered the precursor to chemistry, was a blend of scientific exploration and mystical pursuit. If you're an old head like me, you might already be familiar with the term alchemy or the philosopher's stone from shows like Full Metal Alchemist. Prominent figures like Paracelsus and John Dee made significant contributions to the practice of alchemy. Paracelsus, 1493 to 1541, also known as Theophrastus von Hohenheim, was a Swiss physician, alchemist, and philosopher who revolutionized medicine by incorporating alchemical principles. He introduced the use of chemicals and minerals in medical treatments, advocated for the doctrine of signatures, which suggested that plants resembling various body parts could be used to treat ailments of those parts, and developed spagyrics, a form of alchemical medicine focused on the preparation of herbal remedies. Paracelsus emphasized the spiritual and symbolic aspects of alchemy, viewing it as a path to personal and spiritual transformation. Wait a minute. Since, in this era, alchemy was originally considered a form of magic and Paracelsus's works are considered magical, does that mean that since he laid the groundwork for modern pharmacology, modern medicine can be called a magical item? John Dee, 1527 to 1609, was an English mathematician, astrologer, alchemist, and advisor to Queen Elizabeth I. Deeply influenced by Hermeticism, Dee sought to unify different branches of esoteric knowledge. His work, Monas Hieroglyphica, is a complex treatise that combines alchemy, astrology, and mysticism. Along with his associate Edward Kelly, Dee developed Enochian magic, a system of angelic communication that has had a lasting influence on later occult traditions. Additionally, Dee made contributions to navigation and cartography, aiding English exploration efforts. You might think that this era was a great era for magic. If so, you are utterly wrong. Unfortunately, this period also saw the peak of witch hunts and trials, driven by fear of witchcraft and encapsulated by texts like the Malleus Maleficarum, or the Hammer of Witches, written by Heinrich Kramer and first published in 1487. This book became a foundational text for the prosecution of witches, advocating for the detection, prosecution, and execution of those accused of witchcraft. It depicted witches as being in league with the devil and responsible for various calamities, from crop failures to diseases. The Malleus Maleficarum provided detailed instructions on identifying, interrogating, and punishing witches, often endorsing the use of torture to extract confessions. Those found guilty of witchcraft were frequently executed in public spectacles. Common methods included burning at the stake, hanging, and drowning. These executions were meant to serve as a deterrent to others and reinforce the power of the authorities. Imagine us being in this era. What we are doing right now would already be considered as guilty, making us targets for witch hunts. But even so, curious individuals like us didn't stop on the path of magic. The Enlightenment in the 18th century marked a pivotal shift towards reason and science, significantly diminishing the influence of superstition and the persecution of witches. During this era, Franz Mesmer's theories of animal magnetism, or mesmerism, laid the groundwork for what we now know as modern hypnotism. However, the 19th century saw a dramatic occult revival during the Romantic period, sparking renewed interest in mysticism and the supernatural. Spiritualism gained popularity, with mediums like the Fox sisters claiming to communicate with the dead, and Helena Blavatsky's theosophy blending Eastern and Western esoteric traditions. The 20th century continued this occult revival with influential societies like the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, shaping modern esotericism. Today, magic become a prominent form of entertainment, with magicians like Harry Houdini, David Copperfield, and David Blaine captivating audiences worldwide. If we take history to heart, we might all be considered full-blown magicians today. According to history, magic evolves, and much of what was once called magic is now known as science. Using modern technology every day, we might even be considered archmages if we demonstrated it in front of people living thousands of years ago. But I know this isn't the kind of magic you're looking for. Initially, I couldn't find anything to help us use actual magic. I searched extensively and read historical accounts repeatedly, finding absolutely nothing. I even considered abandoning the idea of using magic in real life. However, as I read the texts over and over, I started noticing a strange pattern. But the thing is, the answer was in front of me all along, tracing back to the very beginning of history. In ancient times, they performed rituals to heal, protect, and ensure prosperity, believing that they could influence unseen forces. In ancient Egypt, magicians known as Heka wielded spells and incantations, believing that words had the power to influence the gods and the natural world. These early magicians believed that the mind's power could influence the world. Did you notice it? Every passage from these texts emphasizes the word believe when it comes to magic, and this word might mean more than it seems. So, I searched for an answer one more time, believing I would find it. And at last, here is what I found. Magic in real life revolves around intention and belief rather than physical tools or rituals. At its core, magic is about focusing your desire and believing in the outcome you want to achieve. For instance, a simple luck spell involves holding a charm, saying everything goes well for me with conviction, and then forgetting about it to let the spell work. Invoking gods or spirits requires assertiveness rather than passive prayer, as it involves actively requesting assistance. Ethical considerations are crucial. For example, love spells should not target specific individuals, but rather aim to attract love in general, respecting others' free will. Perception plays a significant role in magic. Optimism can influence reality, so approaching situations with a positive mindset can lead to better outcomes. Embracing the extraordinary and trusting your intuition are key aspects of magical practice. The principle of like attracts like underscores that positive energy attracts positive outcomes, a concept found in various traditions. Symbols and representations can enhance magical practice through sympathetic magic, such as using an owl statue to connect with Athena or burning paper to release emotions. Names also hold power, shaping identity and reality. So choosing names that reflect your true self is a form of magic. Overall, magic is about self-discovery and empowerment, relying on your intention, belief, and will to shape reality and harness the magic within. Here's an intriguing question for you all. At what point can something be considered real magic or just a trick? Imagine you're watching a magician performing something unbelievable, something that completely blows your mind. You don't know the tricks behind it and can't even fathom it being fake. In your perspective, does this make the person an actual magic user? In today's world, if we can explain it, we call it science or a clever trick. But if something remains unexplainable, we often label it as magical, fantasy, or a myth. So, is it the lack of knowledge that makes magic magic? You might think this answer is boring or isn't particularly magical. But at the end of the day, magic is a force that can change lives. Love, for example, can be called magic, and believing in it is the first step to experiencing it. If you're still here, thank you for sticking around and watching the video. If you want to delve deeper into the world of magic, especially topics like alchemy and elemental spirits, click the video on the left. For more on mythology, click the video on the right. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell to stay updated on future content.